All right, thanks everyone for being with us today. Welcome to the Fishbowl AI Insights webinar for the month. We're excited to get started. Before we do, let's jump into just a couple of housekeeping items. First off, know that this webinar will be recorded. The slides and recording will be emailed out to all registrants post-event. So don't feel like you have to frantically take notes because everything that we'll be covering today will be available to you both through a recording as well as the slides available. We will have a Q&A section at the end of the presentation also, but throughout our time together, feel free to use the question section of Zoom for any questions that you may have. We have operators on standby helping out to answer those questions as we go, as well as time dedicated at the end of our session today to answer those questions that may come up. We do also have closed caption available for those who need it. Click the live transcript button in your Zoom control panel to access that. And following the webinar, we will have a survey that goes out with some follow-up information to gather your feedback. We really appreciate your feedback in helping us to get better every day. And without further ado, let's jump right into things. I'll start off. I'm Kendrick Herron, the Chief Evangelist here at Fishbowl. Excited to spend some time with you today talking about insights. And joining me is my good friend Ben Schaefer.
Hey, thanks for everybody joining today. I've worked with Kendrick quite a bit in the past and worked with a number of Fishbowl users throughout my career here at ConverSight. And so really excited to talk a little bit more about Fishbowl AI Insights and really that value that it's bringing to those Fishbowl users.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ben. Sure appreciate that. I'll jump now over to the agenda. What we'll be focusing on today is unleashing the power of Fishbowl Insights to guide for better business decisions. At the end of the day, we know that Fishbowl is a decision-making solution for you, and anything we can do to help provide better insights so that you can make better decisions as a business owner operator really helps with efficiency, accuracy, and creating better outcomes for your business. From an agenda standpoint, we're going to start with really exploring the why behind Fishbowl AI Insights. From there, we'll move into plans and options that are available. We do have several tiers that allow you to determine for your business what fits best. From that point, we'll go into some insights, the Explorer and the Athena capability. Ben will do a deep dive in how those tools help create enablement. Then we'll jump into some AI-driven forecasting capabilities. And then as a final step, we'll talk through the pieces to getting started with AI Insights for those that are interested. Before we jump into that, though, we're going to start off with our first poll question for the webinar, which is how much time is spent by you and your team sourcing and aggregated needed data for reporting. So we'll give that just a few seconds for everybody to answer and then move on. All right, thank you so much for the responses there. It looks like we've got a lot of people that are spending time jumping in and trying to get information. And that really kind of leads into our first topic today, which is, why do we have Fishbowl AI Insights? So, the backstory here is that Fishbowl and ConverSight have worked together since 2018 to provide better visibility to businesses. But in the last year or so, we realized that we hadn't really exposed that to a lot of the Fishbowl customers out there. So there was an effort to create a more coupled partnership. And from that, AI Insights was born for Fishbowl. The motivation here, as the slide indicates, is understanding the transformative value that comes from having great insights and having those insights be AI powered. So the first thing to really understand about how this works together with Fishbowl and ConverSight is that the data from all the various sources that you may be utilizing as a business, or for those who are consultants that your clients may be working on, can be pulled in and aggregated to a single dashboard. And there's great power in being able to see that information from lots of different aspects and angles coming together. Years ago, the problem used to be getting data out of systems, and we've gone beyond that to a degree. In a lot of cases, we can be overwhelmed with data. There's information in all the different systems. May not be good data, may not be easy to access, but the truth is, with all the systems out there, there's a lot of information, and it can be overwhelming. So one of the first things that we looked at when we really started talking about how can we create a better tool together was that we need information to come from all the various tools and sources that you may be utilizing into a single spot so that you can make those better decisions. And that transcends different roles and responsibilities in the organization as well. If I'm an inventory associate or I'm a receiver, or if I'm the CEO of a company, the information that I may need to see could look different, but the sources are pretty common for a lot of folks. And some common ones that we run into would be obviously the Fishbowl information coupled with accounting data like QuickBooks or Xero, e-commerce connections like Shopify and marketplaces like Amazon or eBay, CRM solutions like HubSpot and Salesforce, and then Ben, you can weigh in here as well. But I think oftentimes we find bespoke or customized systems or even tools like Excel where really important data that exists for only that company lives, and being able to pull all of those different data sources into a single spot is really something that adds a lot of value. Any thoughts there, Ben?
Yeah, I can't tell you the number of clients that we work with that have, one-off information that's hosted in an Excel sheet, that's being updated, on a case-by-case basis. So, and if that provides that true end-to-end visibility, or we want to use those metrics to help drive the decisions that we're making within the organization, that's something that we commonly do, to really give us everything that we're going to need to make those critical decisions within an organization.
Perfect, great call out. So if you're sitting there thinking, yeah, but I have this other thing that's unique to my business and workflow, just imagine that with AI Insights, you have the ability to pull in all the data that lives in Fishbowl and QuickBooks and those other systems that you may be using, as well as that other tool or solution, and that adds a lot of value. When we think about where and how is that value being added, there are really four main areas that we focused in on creating solutions. There's a lot we can do in these, but if we were to categorize the types of capabilities that AI Insight provides, the first is creating your own reports and dashboards. Now, this is something that I'm really excited about. Having been with Fishbowl for coming up on 2 decades now, this has certainly been one of those areas that we've always wanted to deliver more on, is creating your own reports and dashboards. And with AI Insights, the ability to drag and drop information in from wherever it may be, including content like custom fields and custom part tracking, anything that lives in Fishbowl could be exposed out and included in those reports and those dashboards. So super, super awesome capabilities there. Coupling with that, the ability to get on-demand insights and recommendations is something that's really exciting. So instead of having to go out and just build your own, which you certainly can do, and there are times where that's exactly what's needed to get the information you want, the AI Insights tool can also provide on-demand insights. So you have a feed of information that's readily available to you, which leads into the third section here, proactive insights. So you have the ability for the data that you've got on demand, those insights and recommendations, to actually come through in a dashboard style or news feed style format that will allow you to see whatever insights are most relative to you. And the good news here is that any of the insights and the news feeds that you receive can drill down right to the data. So they're not just high-level charts and graphs. You can get right to the individual details of, what SKU are we talking about, what costs and information are relevant here, so that you can make the best choices for your business. The fourth piece is where that AI component really comes in, and relative to the information from not just Fishbowl, but any other data sources you connect into, we can provide predictive insights on what's happening and the best decisions to make as a go-forward plan. So Ben will get into this in much more detail here in a few minutes, but that ability to forecast and to have better insight so that you can avoid stockouts, so that you can make sure you have the right things at the right time. The worst thing that can happen is missing a sales opportunity because you don't have the product that you need, and the next worst is having too much of it and not being able to move that. So we want to make sure that we have that that happy balance and an equilibrium of having the right stuff at the right time so that you can take care of every sales opportunity and every customer that you're working with. Now, as we think through that, there are some common challenges that have kind of become thematic as we've begun having conversations about Fishbowl AI Insights. And there are some thematic elements here that we really wanted to call out. And if you're a bit like me, these may be relevant to the challenges that you're facing on a day-to-day, either for yourself or for your clients. The first problem that we see very commonly is I need the most important business data at my fingertips all the time. If we don't have the information readily available, it may be in the system buried somewhere, but if it's not at your fingertips, it's too much effort to be able to make real-time decisions in a great way. And quite frankly, depending on the methodology you're using, the information may be stale and outdated so that you're not making the best choices if you don't have that. With the AI Insights capability, and particularly our Athena tool, you can have a real life conversation about the information in your system, and so that you can make those great decisions. The second is being able to build, save, and share reports with the data that matters most to you. So again, call back to those custom reports and the capability to add in information and make it specific to your business needs and expectations. And that can be either something that you use day in, day out, or a one-off report that right now today there's information because of a world event or a business event or an opportunity that for whatever reason you need to get more data out of the system. And the great news is with AI Insights, you can create those reports on the fly, you can build them, you can share them. They're digestible in a variety of formats, and it goes to that point of being able to easily access the information that is yours. The next call out and problem that we see often is I need a better way to get insight into what's happening with my customers, with my products, with my margins, particularly with the supply chain struggles that have been occurring, since COVID, and they just continue on. And then whatever the next blip in the radar seems to be, there are a lot of times when there's cost volatility. And supply chain interruptions are a very real concern for a lot of folks that we're working with. And so being able to see what's going on with your customers, with your products, with your margins in real time with full insight across the various systems that you may utilize is a really, really powerful tool for you to make those best decisions. And the last one we'll focus on here is a better forecasting and better information to help optimize inventory. So going back to that comment earlier about not having the right things on the shelf to create that sales opportunity, or having too much and finding yourself in a situation where you've got dead stock. So nobody likes stock outs, nobody likes dead stock inventory. We want to make sure that we have that happy balance. And with a great AI Insights tool to power this, we can tell you exactly where things are going to be with as close to a crystal ball as we've ever seen. So really exciting capabilities there that we'll be going to in just a moment. And with that comes a great connection in that, Fishbowl's AI Insights they're top ranked in our capabilities, both with Intuit and with Xero. We've got great partnerships, and really want to make sure that we're servicing all the tools that you use, including our valued accounting partners. In addition to that, we wanted to call out some of the Fishbowl users that have seen some really positive impacts on their business, some good steps forward in being able to effectively manage their business in a better way. Judith, our friend from Masthead Pink, called out it's freed up the boring and tedious and downloading, sorting things, allowing for better visibility KPIs that they're interested in, and operating in a better way. Nick from MabPack, he called out in a great way. If somebody can use Google, you can use AI Insights, and I love that comparison because Athena is really like having an additional team member. And just like Google, as simple as it is to just type in and ask a question, Athena can provide you information, keep you up to speed on what's happening in your business. And Nick's words say it better than mine, that if you can use Google, you can really use Fishbowl AI Insights as well. Last, a call out to our friend Ryan from Psycan Industries. and the value of the custom dashboards. That once those are created, that's fast and easy to get instant access to the information that's needed on a daily basis. And because we know every business is different, those dashboards can be customized to your exact needs. So you have full range and ability to pull in the information that's most relevant in your particular situation. So with that, we want to call out some metrics that have helped. And Ben, do you want to take us through some of the specifics that you've been able to work with some of our mutual customers on?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a big call out here, we think of extract production, and I know they're more on the larger side of our Fishbowl customers, but we were able to save them that $11 million in inventory costs within the first 42 days. It ended up being about 22.4%. And we even think of customers like Koken. I've gotten to work closely with them, especially if you guys are sourcing product from overseas. With the forecasting and the recommendations that we did for them, made a huge impact to their freight costs. So I think those two are really, really big ones that we want to make sure to call out. TSI super cool as well. Just in what we could help them track and maintain their margins is huge. Just in reviewing and being able to access all of their bill of material, their last cost data, have that running through and automate some of those processes for them. Took a lot of those manual steps out while also bringing to light, maybe products they weren't selling at their preferred margin. And Kendrick, if you want to skip over to that next slide here, as we launched Fishbowl AI Insights, I think today, right now, we're over 250 Fishbowl users that have added AI Insights here within the last 90 days, and a couple big call outs. So in the previous 90 days with those customers, they've run over 2,500 reports that are getting run daily. We're also scheduling over 150 reports to be run, emailed to the specific stakeholder, and over 700 users now have the visibility that they need to operate their organizations at the best. From a round figure number to run all of these, create or pull all the data and create all these reports, we've saved over 5,000 hours of manual reporting time. And that's only what we've done here in the last 90 days.
Pretty exciting to see how that all comes together, huh?
Yeah. It's amazing. I think there's always a good call out that organizations aren't, there's not one big thing that is going to make an organization successful, but a number of small efficiencies and low-hanging fruit that's really going to help drive the success of an organization.
So if you're in a position where you want to save some time, this is maybe a really good way to do it. Every business owner and operator is trying to find ways to maximize efficiency, and this is a great way to maybe look at that.
Yeah, and I think that's a great segue to some of the predictive insight that we're providing for other organizations. We're seeing many organizations getting around that 20% reduction in inventory costs. But if we even take a step back and go very conservatively, if we want to think about if we could reduce that inventory cost by 6%, and just for round numbers, say we have $100,000 of inventory on hand, and we could reduce that by 6%, all of a sudden we've opened up another $6,000 that's inventory cost saved and cash flow that we can use to be more strategic within the organization, use for other projects, or maybe expand other areas of the business that previously weren't available just to the inventory costs that we had tied up. And I think, I think back to extract production, $11 million in what they've saved, that's big, but how do we even think about that for our smaller Fishbowl users? I'm sure there's a number that are in this $100,000 range that could see some huge benefit from that, even just a 6% decrease in inventory costs.
Well, and again, 6% is conservative, right? If we're seeing around 20% on average, go think for a moment, or if you're not sure right now, jump into Fishbowl and run your inventory valuation summary, see what that comes out to be. Take 20%, and there's a good chance you'll find 20K or more in operating capital that could be better utilized throughout your business. So whether that's marketing expansion or new product investment or whatever it may look like, that money's there and available as you work through becoming more efficient. So super exciting. Hopefully that helps as you look toward the future. Our second poll question here is around stockouts and excess inventory. So we've talked a little bit already today around impact that you may have, but do you currently experience stockouts or excess inventory? If so, what does that look like? I'll give just a minute for that one. All right, thanks so much for the responses on that. And we'll jump now into the different plans that are available. So as we mentioned earlier, as we covered the agenda, AI Insights isn't just a thing, but there are a variety of tiers and flexible solutions that will meet your needs. We can work through each of those details, starting out with tier 0. Ben, you want to take us through those?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we were coming up with these different packages, we wanted to ensure that we had the right fit for wherever you are in your fishbowl, your organization, or even your analytics strategy. And so we really wanted to design these as something, one, as an easy entry point for you guys to get started. But then also as you grow, as your organization grows, and you guys are looking to find those additional efficiencies within the organization, we have kind of this stair-step approach. So when we think of tier 0, I think of that as really our core reporting functionality to get you that visibility you need. As we move into our tier 1, that's where we start to introduce the forecasting that we can provide, our AI forecasting that we're providing. And then once we move into that tier 2, that's where I consider our true inventory optimization level. And as always, we do have a number of different use cases that we've done across organizations, all the way from planning, procurement, manufacturing, distribution. We can get into more detailed sales analytics and the breakdowns there. But really, we wanted to ensure that there is a right fit for every organization out there. And I think we did a pretty good job at getting you guys a good place to meet you guys where you are today, but then also have that runway to grow with you guys as the organization continues to grow. All right. Kendrick, I think this next section, when we think of the different packages and what's included, in all of our packages, we do include Insights, Explorer, and Athena. These are all kind of the core functionalities that we have and is included in all of our packages. So Kendrick, let's shoot over. We'll start at that insight piece. So when we think about insights in the organization, we want to make sure that we're tracking trends across our products and our margins and our customers. What this does is, rather than kind of a typical old kind of path flow and workflow, is I would have to determine what I wanted to look into. I would have to gather the information for a report. Once I got that information gathered and manipulated in a way that makes sense for me to digest it, then I can go through that information and find out what we're seeing. Where this differs compared to that traditional workflow is we're allowing Athena and Fishbowl AI Insights to really monitor the organization for those things and bring it up in that newsfeed style. Also, we do have the ability to add specific KPIs, as we do understand every organization does operate differently. Those are things that you can add on your own. Some of the big things that we're seeing, if we have critical inventory that we want to make sure that we're tracking, that's something that we can track within the insights, as well as any sort of customer erosion. If there's a customer that's buying less, that's something that we want to know about, so we can reach out to that customer, try and salvage that relationship or figure out why they're buying less from us. I think all of this goes into more of the big piece of, let's let the system do some work for us rather than it being a manual step for us to take. Now that brings us to our explore portion. And when we think of kind of day in the life of using Fishbowl AI Insights, my first stop in that most common landing page is going to be that insights page. What things do I really need to know about? What are top of mind? What are things I need to address? Now, once we start taking those steps deeper, maybe I want to get into the explore and start to make my own reports. In that explore section, we wanted to make it easy for a business user. Like myself, I'm not a data guru or a data scientist, but we wanted to make that easy experience for a user to go in and build the reports that they're looking for. We've broken these down into different subject areas to really walk you through what's required to get a nice, good report built out. And a lot of times, any of the reports that we're doing, what I'm seeing from most customers is they're building out their reports here in Explore and pinning them into our storyboards, which we'll get into a bit later. But that allows us to kind of have our sanity. I like to call it the sanity check dashboard. These are my reports that I know I want to look at every day. So when I get in the morning, they're refreshed automatically for us. And then that brings us to the next piece, which is going to be Athena. So Athena is that AI assistant that's going to be helping you, answering questions for you, and really giving you that instant information that you're needing as you're making those quick and informed decisions within the supply chain space that it is today. We do have two different versions of Athena, Athena Lite, which comes included in our tier 0 and tier 1. And we've actually gone through and pre-configured 100 questions that most organizations are using to track how well the organization is performing. So you have that built out. Now, we do have a different version of Athena, which is available as an add-on or included in our tier 2, which gives you more flexibility in how we want to ask those questions. Key call outs here is we always want to make sure that we're asking specific questions to Athena. So we want to make sure we're asking for specific things so that we're getting exactly the information that we want when we're asking those questions. So it's a great way to get those quick answers when you need them.
Ben, I talked to a customer the other day that had just started using Athena, and they pointed out that there were some questions that they'd never even considered to ask in the business. They'd been going for about 5 years. And for them, it was fun to sit down and look at those pre-configured questions because it gave them a new lens on things that they really hadn't considered. They were in a situation where a hobby business grew into something much more. And the CEO of the company was thrilled to start thinking about the business in a different way, just from looking at the pre-configured questions that are available. So something that's kind of fun to just, from an outside perspective into your own business on what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's great. And not only are you being able to pull on the experience that you've had in your organization, but these types of questions comes from a massive experience that ConverSight's had working with supply chain type companies and the types of metrics that they're looking for. So this is a great way to expand different areas that you're looking into when you're judging that success of the organization. Now, this also brings us into our AI-driven forecasting. I think that is probably one of the biggest things that people are driving towards is how can I forecast better? How can I position my inventory better than I am today? And can I do it in a more automated way? So currently, I'm sure if we had a poll question here and asked everybody who's utilizing an Excel sheet to forecast, I'm sure almost every hand would be going up in the room. And we love a good spreadsheet here at ConverSight, but is there a way that we can do better? So I think one of the key call outs here when we talk about forecasting is a lot of times running a basic min-max doesn't necessarily account for seasonality within the organization, or we're only updating our forecasts on a monthly or quarterly basis. And Kendrick, I think this gets back to your point earlier about how stale data can drive us to make decisions that aren't the best for the organization. And so with an integrated approach like what we do with Fishbowl and Fishbowl AI Insights, that allows us to refresh those forecasts on a daily basis. And this goes all the way down to a product level. We run a number of different algorithms across each of the historical and open sales data. The system then auto calibrates to the best fit that we have before it then projects out. I think the key here is that in the case that we have certain products starting to take off or slow down, the system's recognizing that with every refresh that we get, and then making sure that we're updating that forecast to ensure that we don't run into a situation where we have excess inventory or a stock out happening. And then the way that we can take that to more of that inventory optimization level is by making those recommendations of when and how much we should place a purchase order of, and then also allowing us to know if I don't take action, when can I expect to stock out? So giving you that type of insight would really help drive the organization to help make those better decisions.
Ben, we didn't include a poll question around if you use Excel, because we have ample evidence that 95% above would, but we do have a poll question around optimizing. So the third poll question for our time together: how much time do you think you'd save by optimizing your inventory? We'll give that just a few seconds here.
Yeah, and Kendrick, I think it's not even just the time in trying to determine how to optimize, but what can we get from even an inventory cost level?
Great call out. Well, thank you so much for jumping into that poll. With that, we're excited to jump into the product demo for just a minute now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for everyone. So right here, what you're seeing on the screen, and making sure everybody can see my screen okay here. So typical landing page that we see here in Fishbowl AI Insights is that Insights page. And as Kendrick alluded to, it's more of that news feed style. So as we're tracking our trends across our products and our customers and our margins, they're bringing this to the forefront. So if we're seeing that trend up, for example, in the first example, cost has increased for 12 customers along our A segment of products there. So these might be things that I want to stay aware of. In this example, if cost is increased, maybe we want to revisit what we're selling this at, or are customers buying less? This might be something we need to start playing with and be able to get an idea of how this is impacting the organization. As I mentioned earlier, we do allow you guys to include additional insights. So if you have specific KPIs within the organization that are key to your 2025 plan, we can also track the progress of those here within the Insights page. So overall, this is typically the first stop for most organizations when they hop in here, and we can always dig in, explore, get an idea of where these are sitting at today. Now, and just wanted to mention, we do include insights in all of the packages that we have for Fishbowl AI Insights. Now, wanted to give you just kind of a quick tour of the Explorer functionality. As I mentioned, we can go ahead, we can select a subject area, and it walks you through what's required here. And any of the items here in the left-hand column, we can select these. We can grab what we wanted, and again, we can go ahead and just run that report. I know I grabbed a simple example here, but you can really add anything that you'd like. Now, when it gets down to the query, if I wanted to, maybe I'm a little bit more old school, I just want to see the table, but we do have a variety of different visuals, all in the effort to make sure that you guys are digesting the information that in a way that makes the most sense. We can easily move things around and get it looking exactly the way that you want. And this is all stuff that's geared towards our business users. They can do it on their own. Now, with any of these, we can always pin to the storyboards, which we'll touch base with here in a bit, just so that they're refreshed automatically. So first thing in the morning, you get in, everything's ready to go the second you log in. We can also favorite those if we do want, if it's something I run a little bit more sporadically. Ultimately, that just gets down to how often are you using or refreshing that information. Now, in addition to the Explorer, we do have our AI assistant, Athena. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a couple versions. So one, we can use those frequently asked questions. So any of these, we can go ahead, select those, and get those answers. Now, we also have the option of asking questions in more of a kind of our own parameters that we want. So if, for example, I wanted to see, my revenue by month, last 18 months, we can grab that. Same thing here as we do in the Explorer, add to storyboards. We can explore those if I wanted to. Like this is typically something I would want to see in more of a pivot style table. We can quickly switch there, and same thing. We can add those to the storyboards just so that they're there, refresh for us all the time. Now, when we get into storyboards, that's where we're starting to see a little bit more of the differences between our packages. When we start at a tier 0, we do include 7 out of the dash, out of the box storyboards with a number of different metrics that we have in each of these. And then once we go into the tier 1, that's where we're starting to include the forecasting. And I'll give you just kind of a quick tour of that. So we're doing that on a product level each and every month moving forward, so we know what to expect. And those are also auto-calibrated. So we make sure that if we're seeing changes in demand velocity, that we are updating to the most accurate forecasting model there. And then once we get into our tier 2, I think this is where we really start getting into those true inventory optimization and recommendations. Did want to give you kind of a quick peek here of the recommended PO. And again, this is letting us know, how much do we need to order? When do we need to order? And in the case that we don't take action, when are we anticipating to stock out? There are the variables that we're definitely using as inputs to get to this. And I always think it's important to kind of understand what that logic looks like. Is we do base that off of our forecast. We do want to make sure that we're considering any outstanding POs that we have, what we have in our inventory. If we're a manufacturer, we want to make sure to also include that bill of materials, as well as the lead time from our vendors. And big thing that we want to make sure we're considering there, especially if we're utilizing that calculated lead time. If our lead times are starting to shorten up, that allows us to recommend to place that order later, which means you're reducing inventory there. We're using that kind of just-in-time logic. Same thing if they're going out, let's place that order earlier so we can make sure that we're not, placing that order too soon, ending up with excess inventory there as well. Same thing with our we also do a recommended work order. Organizations know, what do I need to produce, every single month. So we can start using that as a planning tool as we go forward. Now, Kendrick, I do want to make sure I'm being mindful of time. I know you've been in and out of the tool quite a bit. What areas do you think everybody on the webinar would also like to check out?
If you don't mind, Ben, maybe just punch into Athena real quick. Click on that and just show the workflow there and how simple it is to get answers in real time on the fly. I think that's one of the things I'm most excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if I wanted to get, just my inventory details, we can ask those types of questions here within the platform. As you notice, I'd asked a question surrounding, customer revenue, by month, last 18 months. We want to adjust those. If I wanted to change that and go to more of a 6 month, a lot of times when we look at like inventory planners, the difference between, what happened, over the last 6 months or what was sold during the past 6 months, versus 18 months, those are definitely, metrics that we can switch and move around.
And then you can also click into those as well, right, Ben? So if we wanted to dig into November of 23 as an example, or look
Yeah.
in more detail, right down to the actual data where things are being sourced. So I
Yeah.
love that
So a couple
capability.
of things. Yeah, if we wanted to like switch what different timeframes we were looking at, we could go into that. If we wanted to switch to different views, wanted to dig into that a bit more. Okay, we're looking at this. Maybe I'll switch that out to a pivot table. If I only wanted to shift and see like who my top performers were, from a customer standpoint in November. All right, so now we've easily determined, Bethany Bulk, spent $14,000 with us. So just that easy kind of click around as we ask questions through there is a great way to navigate and get to that information quickly. And ultimately, it was a question, few clicks, and we've gotten to exactly what we needed.
Awesome. Thank you. Should we
So
transition
Kendrick,
over to getting started? I know we have
yeah,
questions that are coming through on what next steps are.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So Kendrick, if you want to get the deck pulled back up.
Right, that should be coming through again there.
Yeah, looking good on my end. So there's a great way to get started. Just wanted to call out those different tiers yet again. So tier 0 is a great starting point for anybody that's looking to enhance their reporting that they're getting out of Fishbowl. If you did want to take that next step up into the tier 1, that's where we're providing those forecasts for you. And then once we move into that tier 2, that's where we're really helping to optimize inventory, both from when and how much to place for purchase orders, but then also recommending what we need to make sure that we're manufacturing in the case that you're a manufacturer. So I think any of these are all great places to start, and really where you are at in your organization, definitely take a thought of where are we at and where we're going. So I think any of those are a great way to start. So we do have a webinar special for those of you that have attended and registered for the webinar today. And we wanted to make sure to give you guys an option at each of those different tiers. So with the tier 0, we are offering the first 30 days free of charge for you guys to get on. With the tier 1, we're actually knocking $50 off a month, which brings the cost down to $149 a month, which saves you about $600 over the course of a year. And then tier 2, which is where the forecasting and inventory optimization comes in. And we're actually knocking $100 off, which puts it at $399 a month there as well. And so I also wanted to just come back to that question I asked earlier. What if I could reduce your inventory by 6%? And if we went down this path and we got that tier 2, so with the special that we have going on, that $47.88 for 12 months, you're already saving yourself over $1,000 in inventory costs and straight ROI there. So these are through the duration of the contract term, but make sure you guys hop on that quickly. I know it's through the end of the month, but I think it's a great way for you guys to get started with AI Insights.
So we do have a question that corresponds to that, is when would be a good time to reach out to you regarding AI Insights? Again, about 30 days free to get testing, and would love to show you how it can affect and improve your organization. So let us know what works best for you. I'll give that just a second. And then as a kind of a final step, we're going to jump into our Q&A session at this point. Before we do that, though, a couple of call outs. If you are interested in learning more, we have some QR codes available. On the left side, you'll see a deeper dive. So if you have some more product-based questions and want to learn more about AI Insights, very specifically, and continue your learning path there, by all means. If you'd like a full demo of how AI Insights can help with your business, on the right side, we've got an alternate QR code for that. And knowing that we have a few different groups represented here, if you would like to learn more, we have a few paths relative to where you're at. So for those of you who are already Fishbowl customers, just reach out to your account manager, and they can help provide all the detail that you need to get started and to learn more. If you're not a Fishbowl customer yet and you're exploring whether or not Fishbowl is a good fit for your organization, reach out and we can provide a personalized demo that includes more information on AI Insights, as well as the rest of the Fishbowl product capabilities. And for those who are partners and consultants, if you're interested in learning more about becoming a Fishbowl partner, reach out to us, partners@fbinv.com, or sign up for a demo on our website. And then last, we do have some additional information and some continued learning tracks around AI Insights for deeper dive. Ben, do you want to speak to that one for just a moment?
Yeah, so what we have planned here on our side, we're actually going to be doing a kind of a 3-part mini series. So we'll have kind of a title topic for those events, but also they're really geared towards you getting to speak with our team, ask the questions. It's very low pressure. We're just there to answer whatever questions you guys have, or provide any sort of clarity that you may be looking for when you're considering AI Insights. So feel free, bring your questions. You'll probably be stuck with me, so I apologize. I'll be joining those as well, and be able to poke around and show you guys around the platform and dig into the things that you guys are really interested in. So make sure you take advantage of those as we go, and look forward to seeing some people on there as well.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Ben. I know we're running short on time, but I think we have a handful of questions that'd be good to cover. Casey or Vlad, anything that is thematic that we may want to call out amongst the greater group here?
Hi, yes, we did actually have a few questions regarding the same topic of what type of Fishbowl customers, meaning what main products are they using that AI Insights is available to. So advanced versus drive, hosted versus non-hosted, etc.
Yeah, great question. So both hosted and non-hosted, if you're on-prem or using our hosting services, you're able to utilize that as well. Right now, AI Insights is packaged and built specifically for our advanced product, wholesale distribution and manufacturing. We do have a custom connection that connects into the Drive product as well, and we're working on getting that built into a plugin. So the short version of it is, regardless of which tool and plan you're on, there's a solution that can meet your needs. Everything we've shown today has been specific to the pricing and packaging relative to our advanced product. And there's no difference whether you happen to be hosted or on-prem for Fishbowl Advanced. Ben, anything to add to that?
No, I think you nailed it. Yeah, so that I don't even have anything to add. You did it so well.
Right. Hopefully that met your needs. Reach out to your account manager and they can provide some more information on that front. Any others, Casey, we need to call out for the group?
Yeah, another question that we got a couple of times as well, and maybe this is Ben can tackle this one, is can you tell me maybe what the difference is of what Athena and AI Insights offers versus Google Gemini?
Yeah, so I think the big difference between like Google Gemini and what we're doing with ConverSight is we're layering in a semantic layer most of the time, and I'll apologize, I don't use Google Gemini a lot, but a lot of times getting calculations and numbers tends to be a little bit more difficult with most of the commercially available large language model type chatbots. I think one of the key things that we did with Athena is it is trained not only specifically on supply chain and supply chain subjects, but then also on Fishbowl. So everything that system's been trained is really geared towards making sure we're looking at the data through a supply chain type lens.
Perfect. Thank you, Ben. Any others?
I think that's a wrap on some of the most important questions that were, or the most frequent questions that were asked.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, everyone. Again, if you do have questions and want to learn more, feel free to reach out through the various channels. For customers, contact your account manager. For those that are considering Fishbowl, get a demo sign up, and any partners or prospective partners that would like to learn more, feel free to hit the team up, and we'd be happy to provide you with all that information that you may need. Again, a call out to the ConverSight team. And Ben, thank you so much for being with us today. We look forward to working with you, and have a wonderful day, everyone.